Welcome to the War Room. I'm your trusty reporter, Roger Stone, with my colleague, Owen Schroyer, and I'm reporting today from New York. President Donald Trump is so right when he says the mainstream media is dishonest. I did tell Vanity Fair that politics was not Melania Trump's thing, and that she pushed her husband to make a decision to run in 2016 after he seriously considered running in 2012. I never said that Melania Trump didn't want to be First Lady or that she hasn't done a spectacular job in that job. Now, I know Melania Trump. She is cultured, kind, thoughtful, but not very political. And I think she's doing a great job of representing this country. Once again, my beef is not with Vanity Fair. Reading their story, they had other off-the-record sources say that she didn't want to be First Lady, didn't want to campaign. I never said anything of the kind. I love Melania Trump so much for the mainstream media. If you look today on the internet, you would get the impression from multiple outlets that I said she never wanted to be First Lady. I never said anything of the kind. So, Owen, that was an extraordinary interview that you just had. It seems to me that it's all falling apart for the Clintons, and very, very quickly.
Well, what continues to be exposed, Roger, is not just the collapse of the Clintons, but what we're seeing, to me, as the Clintons are collapsing into the pit, into the abyss, everyone else that was working some other angle, possibly criminal, whatever it may be, that was working with the Clintons, around the Clintons, is starting to crumble with them. I mean, you've got Comey, you've got Clapper, you've got Brazil. I mean, the list goes on, and it's all kind of all crumbling down around the collapse of Hillary Clinton.
No, you're absolutely right. I worked a better part of today on a long piece for the Infowars.com site explaining exactly what happened in Uranium One. This is the mother of all scandals. The involvement of the Clintons is both greedy, illegal, and treasonous. We essentially gave 20% of our overall enriched uranium output and mining rights worth literally billions of dollars to a company controlled by Vladimir Putin. And in return, 9 directors at Uranium One gave the Clinton Foundation $145 million, not to mention a $500,000 tip that they added for Bill Clinton in a speaking fee, which is a thinly described bribe. So you can look forward to this piece. I'm almost finished with it, but it's important for people to understand on a moment-by-moment basis exactly what happened in Uranium One.
And of course, the frustration here, and it's amazing because President Trump doesn't seem to be showing much frustration around this. His patience is astounding. The frustration, though, for myself and others is that you've got this whole Russian collusion investigation, this whole big to-do about Trump-Russia, where there's nothing there. They are going after Mueller for something that has nothing to do with the investigation. They think they may have someone to flip on Flynn that, again, has nothing to do with the investigation. Meanwhile, all this dirt on Hillary just continues to keep hitting us right in the face. I mean, is her time in the barrel coming, or are we just going to have to sit here and pontificate on how criminal Hillary Clinton was for the rest of our lives?
Well, I had believed until yesterday that Attorney General Jeff Sessions had recused himself in the matter of Uranium One. I definitely read that back at the time the story was breaking. My colleague here at InfoWars, Dr. Jerry Corsi, one of the very best investigative reporters working in America today, tells me that that is inaccurate, that media report is inaccurate, and that the Attorney General retains the authority to appoint a special counsel in the matter of Uranium One. I really think that we will not get to the bottom of the venal corruption of the Clintons until this happens. And of course, a new special counsel, much like Robert Mueller, would have broad ability to look at the Clintons because the special counsel law under which Mueller is theoretically seated has expired. And therefore, there is no law on the books today governing the conduct of a special counsel. For example, under the original special counsel law, if a special prosecutor wanted to expand the reach or scope of his investigation, he required the approval of the Attorney General. That is no longer the case. Thus, Mr. Mueller, and presumably a new special prosecutor looking into Uranium One and the Clintons, could examine any aspect of the Clinton Foundation and its use as a vehicle for the facilitation of multi-million-dollar bribes. Anybody who wants to know about the epic corruption of the Clinton Foundation can look at the works of Charles Ortel. I think you find him at Charles Ortel, ORTEL.com. Again, one of the very best investigators. Ortel comes from a Wall Street background. He understands sophisticated financial dealings and the various charitable restrictions laid on by the IRS and the states in which charities are regulated, and has done extraordinary work about the venal corruption at the Clinton Foundation.
Well, one thing that I'm noticing, Roger, and it's been so rare over the years for anyone to turn on the Clintons, to write a book, write a story. I mean, it's just like it never happens, how the Clintons somehow managed to keep everyone so loyal, that is the ones that are still alive, that have been surrounding them. And then Donna Brazile writes the book outing Hillary pretty badly, excoriating the Clinton campaign. But you still have all these other swamp members. I mean, look at all the swamp members that globbed onto Hillary Clinton instead of throwing her under the bus when it would have been the easiest thing to do. James Comey, James Clapper, Eric Holder, Barack Obama. The list goes on and on and on. That's why I think that for whatever reason, all of these people were willing to go down the river with Hillary Clinton. The minute that she gets sat down in front of a prosecuting attorney or whoever it may be, a state attorney, and she's actually facing criminal charges, I think that that woman is going to sing like a canary, and all those people that had her back over the years are going to be indicted, I think, because she's going to turn them in. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it really works the other way around. The prosecutors go to a small fish because they want a big fish. And there is no bigger fish than Hillary Clinton and her embarrassing hillbilly rapist husband. I think the jig is finally up. Now, when we point out the large number of dead bodies that seem to stack up around the Clintons, well, they call us conspiracy theorists. No, we're conspiracy realists. The facts are what they are. And there's a disproportionately large number of people who are connected to the Clintons who end up dead. That's an indisputable fact. Because of that, I think many in the body politic are not willing to take the Clintons on. You remember Danny Williams, the brave young man who is without any question the biological son of Bill Clinton, and a street prostitute who was his mother, who was a drug addict. And that story was broken here at InfoWars. But Danny Williams could not find an Arkansas attorney to represent him in a paternity action. Literally, no attorney of any repute, Republican or Democrat, was willing to take Danny Williams' case. Why? They don't want to cross the Clintons. Why? I had at least one attorney tell me they don't want to end up dead. If you go to the extraordinary film by Joel Gilbert, who'll be joining us later in the hour with his new incredibly funny film, The Art of the Insult. But if you look at his documentary on Danny Williams, he interviews Danny Williams' aunt, who specifically says, "We were warned if we tangle with the Clintons." I'm your host, Roger Stone, with my colleague Owen Schroyer, and you're on The War Room. The hours are winding down for Cyber Monday, the end of our sales, which have been extended slightly. And therefore, I want to remind you again that we at InfoWars can't depend on some deep-pocketed left-wing billionaire to finance our operations. We have no George Soros or David Rockefeller standing in the wings, writing us big checks to supplement our expansion or our expanded coverage. We have to depend on you, the info warrior out there who appreciates that we are the cutting edge. We are the lead of the resistance. And therefore, please go to the site and look at some of these extraordinary sales. 67% off on Silver Bullet, the very best colloidal silver supplement that you can get. My all-time favorite, Brain Force Plus. This very broadcast would not be possible without Brain Force Plus. This is why I'm able to put in the hours that I can. It gives you the mental clarity and the energy you need. And now, almost 50% off, I believe. So take advantage of these great sales. As Alex Jones likes to say, it's a 360 win. You get the very best all-natural products, books, T-shirts, and other products that have literally, in many cases, thousands of satisfied testimonials, and we, in turn, can fund the expansion to even more broader and hard-hitting investigative journalism right here at InfoWars. Oh, and it is interesting to me that the press today seems to be a Twitter with the fact that Hope Hicks, the longtime, now I believe, communications director for President Donald Trump, literally the only person who I believe has been with him from the very beginning of his presidential campaign to the White House today, is lined up for an investigative interview with special counsel on Robert Mueller. Now, I must tell you, I'm an admirer of Hope Hicks. She is a shrewd and capable professional, and she is that rare person in Washington, someone who can actually keep their mouth shut. She doesn't leak. She isn't indiscreet. We don't know what she knows or why Robert Mueller wants to see her, but we do know that she is a loyal supporter of the president and that rare person that you never see in Washington. You see, she's not out for herself. She's not worried about her next job. She's 100% for the president. While we're at it, I also want to mention that I think the media is jumping to conclusions over the fact that General Mike Flynn's lawyers have met with the lawyers at the special prosecutor's office. It is only natural, lawyers to tell me today, that such meetings would take place. Last week, the New York Times jumped to the conclusion that because Flynn's lawyers were no longer communicating with Trump's lawyers, that it meant the general had turned against the president. My sources say otherwise. At the same time, they tell me that General Flynn is under extraordinary pressure, particularly financial pressure, from the special prosecutor's office. Flynn is not a wealthy man. And as Paul Manafort told me, defending yourself in the Russian witch hunt can run into the millions and millions of dollars. So what will happen with General Flynn? Don't necessarily believe everything you read in the mainstream media. We'll bring it to you here at InfoWars as we learn it. Michael Flynn, a great patriot, in my opinion. Owen?
Well, I'm curious, Roger, what you're hearing about the man in Turkey who has apparently flipped on Flynn and exposed him in this Russian probe. Are you hearing anything on that?
I have been assured by sources close to Flynn that he never participated in any discussion with anyone from Turkey or representing the Turks pertaining to the illegal kidnapping of this cleric who is holed up in the Poconos in Pennsylvania, and who the Turkish government and the president, Mr. Erdogan, blames for instigating a failed coup last year. I believe, as I reported here at InfoWars, that former CI Director James Woolsey was directly involved with the Turks and is the one promulgating this false story against Mike Flynn. Flynn's representatives assure me in the strongest possible terms that he never took part in any discussions pertaining to the kidnap and illegal extradition of the cleric.
Roger, another story here I wanted to run by you before we went to break here. This came out of the Washington Post. Kellyanne Conway violated the Hatch Act. Will she be charged? This is from Walter Schaub. Now, you could say he makes a fair point in his story here. However, it's amazing to me that he never wrote this story about Barack Obama, who, in my opinion, directly also violated the Hatch Act. I mean, obviously, this is just the Washington Post tried to, take any jab and stab at the Trump administration that they can. But, this is the type of thing that if they want to start blowing smoke in this direction, it's only going to come back at them again 10 times, just like the Russian collusion.
What of the emails that were released by the FBI only days ago? They show the Deputy Director, Andrew McCabe, openly discussing funding for his wife's state Senate campaign that was essentially funneled to him from the Clintons through Virginia Governor Terry McAuliffe. That is a flagrant in violation of the Hatch Act. Is the Washington Post calling for Andrew McCabe's prosecution? No. Why? Well, maybe he was for Hillary Clinton, or maybe he's just part of the deep state. So there are different rules for certain members of the deep state. After the near impeachment of President Richard Nixon, who, by the way, today is his birthday. Happy birthday, Mr. President. The media told us repeatedly no person was above the law. Remember that? Well, before your time. But Alex Jones remembers, no person is above the law. Well, what about Bill and Hillary and Mueller and Comey and McCabe? And the list goes on and on. It seems that in Washington, under Barack Obama at least, some people were above the law.
Yeah, and I think it's frustrating for us sitting here knowing that, reporting on it, and then seeing the witch hunt into Trump. And it's just like, man, how are you going to go after Trump when you got so many skeletons in your closet? You haven't even been able to close it for years. It's really amazing. But, I mean, we're sitting here, we're wondering when Sessions is going to do something. Maybe it's finally starting to turn around. I know that Trump has confidence in his tax plan, and he seems to just be, Roger, Trump seems to be thrilled still. I mean, he shows up to work every day with a smile, working hard. I don't know how he does it.
Well, and look at yesterday's news in the housing market, an all-time high, a boom market that the country hasn't seen in years.
Yeah, as Trump said today, U.S. consumer confidence climbs to 17-year high. He thinks it's an all-time record. Nah, they won't tell you that on CNN.
You've called women you don't like fat pigs, dogs, slobs.
Only Rosie O'Donnell. And they said that wasn't politically correct. Who cares? You haven't been called. Go back to Univision. I think Jeb is a nice person. He's very low energy. I'm not used to that kind of a person. Throw him out. Throw him out into the cold. Don't give him their coat. No coats. Lyin apostrophe. Lion dead. I have never seen a human being eat in such a disgusting fashion. The most dishonest human beings. These people right here. Look at all the cameras. So disgusting. This socialist / communist. Crazy Bernie. He's crazy as a bedbug. Who, Pocahontas? The Indian.
Very offensive.
I'm sorry about that. Pocahontas? Crooked Hillary, Bob. She's been crooked from the beginning. Crooked Hillary. Politicians are really dishonest.
Donald Trump alleges that my dad was involved in assassinating JFK.
This had nothing to do with me, except I might have pointed it out. This guy was sweating so badly. Thank God he has really large ears, the biggest ears I've ever seen. Because they were protecting him. I'm trying to be nice. I'm working hard to be nice. He was begging for my endorsement. I could have said, Mitt, drop to your knees. He would have dropped to his knees. He put glasses on so people will think he's smart. It just doesn't work. People can see through the glasses. I'll make 3 or 4 major speeches. He makes a speech for 15 minutes. He goes home, goes to bed. We live off Chinese manufacturing. That's because when you say we, you are stupid. Repeat after me.
Donald, you're not going to be able to insult your way to the presidency. That's not going to happen.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
We will make America great again. Go home to mommy. Tell her to tuck you in bed. And your mother is voting for Trump.
There you have it, the trailer for The Art of the Insult, an incredible new film by the documentary filmmaker Joel Gilbert, who joins us from Hollywood, California. Now, welcome to the War Room, Joel Gilbert.
Hey, great to be here. Thanks for having me, Roger.
That's quite a shirt you got. Quite a shirt.
Well,
I love it.
Thanks. I got it in Nashville recently just for this occasion.
I love it. So tell us exactly what the Art of the Insult is. I'm told that when it was shown this past weekend, not far from Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach, to a group of prominent conservatives, well, the laughter evidently brought down the house. Just the trailer is hysterical, but now that I've seen the entire film, I must tell you, I couldn't stop laughing at the jokester-in-chief, Donald Trump.
Yeah, we had an incredible screening at the Breakers right there in West Palm, and it was just wall-to-wall laughter. And it's funny, but it's also a great lesson. The art of the insult is really the skill of branding political opponents delivered by performance art. And people forget that Trump was in the entertainment business for over 30 years. He was in boxing, pro football, wrestling, of course, a hit TV show, The Apprentice. So he had seen and done it all when it came to marketing and hype, and he knew how to manipulate the media and control the narrative on a daily basis through this kind of Trumpapalooza tour where he would break out these performances every day. And he was sometimes sophomoric, sometimes brutal, but he would dominate the race. I mean, he destroyed Jeb Bush, when you think about it, with 2 words, low energy. It was over. And all Bush or the others could do in response was complain that Trump was not nice enough to beat Hillary Clinton. And it's a tremendous lesson, this film, in marketing and branding as well as entertaining.
All right, we're going to go here. We're going to go to the other camera. Does that work for you?
I'm right here, Roger.
All right, I apologize. We had a little technical problem there. What I am always impressed with, Joel, is Trump's skill as a counterpuncher. I mean, he's extraordinary on the counterattack. My all-time favorite would have to be that moment in the second debate when Hillary Clinton said, we can't have a man like Donald Trump running the Justice Department. And Trump turned to her and said, yeah, because you'd be in jail. I knew at that moment that Trump would win not only the debate, but the election.
Oh, yeah. You know, one could argue that some of his other lines, you just knew it was over. I mean, not only could he brand people, but he could turn on a dime and just brilliantly counterpunch. And usually it would be with a mix of humor and truth that made it so effective. Even in the first debate, remember Megyn Kelly said, accused Trump of calling women fat pigs, dogs, slobs, and disgusting animals. He just stood there and he said, only Rosie O'Donnell. The crowd loved it. I mean, you could argue that it was over right there. The next moment, I think, that was huge, you could also argue that Trump was unstoppable when he told Jorge Ramos from Univision, he kept interrupting him, and he said to him, go back to Univision. He didn't apologize afterwards, and you could just tell that the public was with him because he was speaking from the heart. Trump was totally authentic. He said what he said and he meant what he said, even if it was crude or sporadic. No one cared. Meanwhile, Hillary was just unlikable, disingenuous, and very forgettable. And Trump was able to dominate with this incredible skill of counterpunching, branding, marketing through this performance art he put on every day. It was really an amazing thing.
So what will audiences learn from your film, The Art of the Insult. Frankly, I've got to go back and watch it again because I couldn't stop laughing. I mean, he's very, very quick. He's extraordinarily fast on his feet. And the insults, which were most effective at putting his political detractors and the media in their place, just kept on coming. So what will folks learn when they see this incredible movie?
Well, thanks. Well, look, the film it's just one thing after the other. At the screening in West Palm, the audience was laughing so much they would miss sometimes the next funny joke because they couldn't hear it because they were laughing so much. I thought I understood Trump. I studied Trump during the election campaign. I thought I knew this guy until I made this film. And until you see this film, you really don't have the true insight into Trump. I think he, in the film, he emerges as this warm and funny man, a very patriotic American. You'll see how deeply he cares about people. He really is quite humble. He really comes off as someone who just cares about people and wants to defend his turf and defend America. And when you see the film, it'll dawn on you the very simplicity of Trump's marketing genius and how by just speaking populist messages to 20,000 people 3 and 4 times a day for months, he was able to induce the media into delivering $2 billion worth of free media coverage. And then you'll finally understand how this handful of his good marketing ideas and his bravado trumped, if you will, Ted Cruz's $92 million of organizing state by state, and Jeb had $120 million of negative ads, and Trump destroyed them all with a handful of marketing ideas. I think that Trump has shown the political class that their entire system and their entire hierarchy of the way they run campaigns is vulnerable and can easily be destroyed by an outsider candidate.
Roger Stone, Joel Gilbert with us here in the War Room. Final segment with those two. You know, Joel, it's amazing because I've heard other people talk about, Trump 60 chess or, Trump the art of the deal. But nobody's really addressed how next level his rhetoric was on the campaign when addressing his political opponents. And he really did something that, at least as far as I know, had never really been done in history, as you're breaking down in your film, The Art of the Insult, where he literally created a branding campaign against his opponents just on the stump.
Correct. He had a plan. He didn't have a campaign. He had three guys. He had no ground game, no state-by-state organization, no money. He just went and dominated the 24-hour news cycle with this master plan of political incorrectness. Every day a new insult, Lion Ted, Crooked Hillary, Pocahontas, Little Marco. And he became this unstoppable political phenomenon. And he really turned the presidential race into what I call the greatest show on earth, just like Ringling Brothers. People couldn't stop watching.
Well, and I said at the time that, and it's true to this day, Donald Trump, President Trump, is the most talked about person, I think, in the history of Earth. Honestly, probably in the history of Earth, and probably the most covered in the media, and probably the most popular, perhaps, too. Even though they try to paint it in the different light, I think he may be even the most popular. And I'm just curious, do you include the Marco Rubio water incident where he's got the water bottles in the film?
Oh, yeah, that's in there. It's absolutely hilarious. I actually juxtaposed them side by side, and you can see Trump just taking him apart. Also, there's several sections on Jeb Bush where, of course, Jeb Bush trotted out his 90-something-year-old mother, who went around New Hampshire saying Jeb is very nice and he's very honest, he's very reliable. And Trump would say, Jeb, your mother can't help you with ISIS, you got to do it yourself. He took him apart on his mother. He takes Jeb apart on his the fact that his wife is from Mexico. And I include even several of Jeb Bush's campaign ads in Spanish where Jeb sounds just like Barack Obama, talking about how the United States is a country of injustice and we need to welcome everybody. Trump called him out correctly when he said, you got to speak English and that Jeb really was a open border advocate when he was speaking Spanish. Trump nailed everything. Even when people didn't believe him at the time, later on, I think he was vindicated.
Well, and now, go ahead, Roger.
I think it has to do with Donald Trump's authenticity and the fact that he is so genuine. He's not calculating. He's not sticking a wet finger in the wind to read a poll to find out what he should say in order to be popular. He just tells you what he really thinks. I remember when Barbara Bush was campaigning for her son in New Hampshire. I was always disappointed that she was too sick to go to President Donald Trump's funeral, President Ronald Reagan's funeral, but not too ill to campaign in New Hampshire a few days later. Joel, I'm a great fan of your other films, Dreams of My Father, your incredible documentary, mini documentary, Banished, the Danny Williams story. But this one is more comedic. This one is literally, you can't stop laughing. You're exactly right. My wife made me stop it and keep going back to the last joke because we were so busy laughing at the last thing we'd heard. Where can people see the entire film?
Okay, the film is available right now on DVD on my film website, artoftheinsult.com. It's a fantastic Christmas present. The street date for the film, Amazon and everywhere else, is only on the State of the Union, January 23rd. So you have a chance to get it for now for Christmas. We're shipping actually right away, artoftheinsult.com. And I guarantee you it's not just for Republicans. Democrats see this film and they laugh and they love it just as much, I'll admit for different reasons, but they do enjoy it. My other films like Dreams from My Real Father, of course, leftists would run out of the room screaming after 3 minutes. But this film is for everybody, and it really does have some powerful lessons in terms of understanding why middle America fell for this Manhattan billionaire to take back the country.
All right. Thank you very much, Joel Gilbert, Hollywood producer, extraordinary documentary maker, for joining us here at the War Room. And I commend to you The Art of the Insult, an extraordinarily good Christmas gift.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
While you are looking for Christmas gifts, there is no better place to look than the Infowars.com store. If you go to the store now, you will see that we have some extraordinary discounts, specials that Alex Jones has left in place after the holidays. If you rush, you can still take advantage of some of these Cyber Monday sales, even though it's Tuesday. But I am assured from the highest levels of InfoWars that midnight tonight is the end of these extraordinary deep discounts. We're talking about the Red Pill, but more than that, Silver Bullet at 67% off, Brain Force at 50% off, Super Male Vitality, I believe, is 50% off. You will get, without any question, the very best all-natural products. Things on this website, folks, are rigorously tested by the folks at Infowars.com and their laboratories. They bring you only the best of the best. Sure, you can go to the drugstore and you can find similarly named products, but they will not have the quality. They will not have the assurances. They will not have the ratings. And in many cases, they will not have the literally thousands of satisfied testimonials from InfoWarriors and patriots who help to finance our broadcasts here at InfoWars by patronizing the Infowars.com store. If you're looking for incredible Christmas gifts, the First Amendment-oriented T-shirts on this site, most notably the iconic, historic Bill Clinton rape T-shirt, more appropriate today than perhaps any before. The last place you can get these, I believe, is at the Infowars.com store. When they sell out, there will be no more. This T-shirt will end up in the Smithsonian. If you read my book, The Making of the President 2016, this T-shirt was used by Alex Jones and yours truly to break through the mainstream media blackout on Bill Clinton's extraordinary record of sexually assaulting women and the incredible story of Hillary Clinton's efforts to silence these women. You can read the story in The Making of the President 2016, now at the incredibly good price at $19.95 at the Infowars.com store. You can also buy the iconic Bill Clinton rape t-shirt. Alex Jones assures me when these sell out, there will be no new edition. This is a piece of history, an extraordinary Christmas gift. Oh, and I might even send you one.
Wow, well, I'd have to re-gift it because I've already got my historic Bill Clinton rape shirt. I had to get one of those hot off the press.
Well, you can never have too many of these. While one's in the laundry, you can be wearing the others. In all seriousness, Alex Jones nails this when he says it's a 360 win. We don't have any big secret sources, no mysterious billionaires financing our expansion. We have to depend on the info warriors. We have to depend on patriots who are tuned in now. I don't know about you, Owen, but I'm getting great feedback on the War Room. A lot of people are really digging what we're doing here. But let me say it again. None of it would be possible without your support for the InfoWars and the InfoWars products available at the InfoWars store. So please, head there now. Do your heavy-duty Christmas shopping there. If you've got patriots in the family, they will love the T-shirts, the books, the all-natural products. Please go to the store now, folks. We have an expansion for next year that you're not going to believe. But we can't do it without your support, and we will continue to be the cutting edge. But you have to have our back. There's only one way to do that, Owen, and you know it. Go to the Infowars.com store.
And you know that every penny, every dime, every dollar spent will go right back into expanding this broadcast in the face of the anti-American globalists. Roger, thanks so much. We'll speak to you tomorrow.